What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Off the Shelves. This is my Blu-ray haul update video. I'm trying to get back into the swing of doing them every month instead of bi-monthly, so it will be a shorter episode than last month, but at least you'll get them a little bit more frequently. And as always, at the end of it, we'll do our horror pack unboxing. I got the one from the last month. So, let me know your thoughts on some of these movies. Some of them I have not watched yet. Some of them I will be talking about here in just a couple of days on my 31 on 31, and we will discuss all that in the comments section. So, starting off with a couple of films that are going to be included in the 31 on 31 on May 31st, which is 2 days from now, and I still haven't started recording. God help me! First one is Ginger Snaps. Now, this was a first-time watch for me. I did check this out already, and what should I say about this one? It's interesting. It takes kind of a bit of a coming-of-age, like, menstruation kind of angle to werewolf, and so that was unique. But for the amount of hype that I've heard about this film, a lot of people loving it, a lot of people calling it one of their favorite werewolf films, I was a bit disappointed by it. So I'm not going to dog on this movie too hard, but you're not going to see it very high on my 31 on 31. But it's worth checking out. I would say to stream it. Alright guys, before we move on to the rest of these Blu-ray titles, if you are impatiently waiting the release of 31 on 31 and you need to have some fun to kill the time between now and then, definitely check out Pixel Starships, the sponsor of today's video. Do you enjoy space action? How about mobile games? And why was the answer to both of those questions absolutely yes? Well, since you're a fan of both, do yourself a favor and check out the game Pixel Starships. In Pixel Starships, you can build your own starship in a massive multiplayer world, and you can command every aspect of your ship, from the power systems to managing your crew and even mining expeditions and space battles. You can trade or battle with millions of other players on both mobile and computer. My favorite part of the game is managing my ship, upgrading certain aspects like the engineering room or the weapons, managing my crew and assigning people to various tasks, and it's such an easy game to get into that oftentimes when I'm rendering a video or waiting for an upload onto YouTube, I'll just pull out my phone and put a little Pixel Starship time in. It's also important to note that the game is constantly being updated, and this is not one of those dreaded pay-to-win experiences that we're all sick of seeing. So download the game from the link in the description and receive $100 of free Starbucks on arrival. Then enter the promo code Cody Leach 125 after registering to get an additional 125 Starbucks. So start your galactic adventure today, and thank you to Pixel Starships for sponsoring today's video. This one I actually just watched for the first time last night, and that is What We Do in the Shadows. Now, I have heard of this movie. I know it eventually turned into a TV series. And this movie was interesting. You know, it's not necessarily on my wavelength as far as comedy. I feel like I say this at least once a month. I'm a very hard audience when it comes to comedy. So if you make me laugh, you're a funny son of a bitch. This is spoof comedy. It's a mockumentary. It's kind of playing up vampirism and werewolf stuff for kind of a bit of a spoof angle, which sometimes that humor works for me, sometimes it doesn't. And I had a good number of laughs in this. Like, it's a very entertaining movie. It's probably not the type of movie that I would ever rewatch, though. So I don't know where that's going to fall in the spectrum of the 31. You'll see that in a couple of days. I enjoyed it, but the rewatch factor is always a big thing for me whenever I rake and review movies. So if you really like the mockumentary style, if you would like to see vampires done in kind of a more comedic spoof way, definitely check this out. One of the smarter versions of that I've seen. And now we have Brotherhood of the Wolf, and this is one of the few remaining films that I still have to watch. Uncle Sean picked this one, and then Brian said that he watched it and it's not actually a werewolf film, so we decided to not include it, and then we heard this outcry of people saying, you should put Brotherhood of the Wolf on there, so it's going to be included anyway. Sorry, Brian. Your protesting didn't quite work. But I have heard of this film before. At one point, my uncle told me this was his favorite film of all time, so I know it's kind of a bit of a more mythic martial arts take on the subgenre. If I do in fact think that it's a werewolf film, we'll find out about that. But don't have any thoughts for you today, but I am excited to check this one out. Moving on from the 31 on 31 films is a movie that I've had my eye on for a while and wanted to pick up, but just haven't had a chance to check it out yet, and that is Pig. I heard Nicolas Cage call this the favorite film that he's ever worked on. And that added in with all the people that did see this a year or two ago when it came out that said that it was fantastic. I had to check this thing out. It was off Renfield. I went to see Renfield, had this Nicolas Cage Fury coming out of that, so I picked this one up. Haven't even opened it yet, so I have not watched it, but let me know if you think I'm going to enjoy this one. I did enjoy Joe, which seems like a similar toned movie to this, unless I'm just way off base. So let me know what to expect. Let me know if you think I'm going to love it. Now we got a couple of 4K double dips. First one is Malignant. Now this is a funny movie because very rarely do I walk out of a theater and have a certain reception for a movie and that changes drastically. I walked out of Malignant and I said, okay, that was pretty good. That was an interesting little time, kind of some campy fun, a little predictable, but cool. And I rewatched it when it came out on home video, and then I rewatched it maybe like 6-7 months later, and I fucking love this movie. I'm not ready to say that it's like James Wan's best, because it's not. But anyway, it's a movie that I think knows exactly what it is, which is this goofy, wild concept and a really campy tone, and it just goes for it. And despite the fact that I did see the big twist coming, despite the fact the movie does have some flaws, I think it's a really cool, unique, enjoyable movie. So I couldn't wait to pick this up on 4K, and I did. So if you have not checked this out, I did do a review for it when it came out. You can check that out up here. But please check out Malignant if you're a fan of James Wan and for some reason have not seen Malignant yet, because it's a wild ride. Moving on from that, one of the best action films of the 90s for sure, if not of all time, is Speed. Now, this was a movie that I loved as a kid. I had the poster that my dad got from Media Play whenever he bought the Laserdisc. I'm really dating myself by everything I just mentioned, but Speed is a really cool movie. It's not on the prestige level of something like The Matrix or John Wick, and really even Point Break, I would probably say. But this is a really solid action movie with a really good Keanu Reeves performance. Dennis Hopper is just chewing the scenery as the villain. And even though it's absolute bullshit in certain senses, like when they do the big jump with the bus and the bus literally leaps off of the road, this is a really fun movie. So definitely one of the better action films from the 90s that I still think holds a lot of entertainment value today. So absolutely go out and buy this one. And finally, we have our only new release that I picked up this month. I did want to get Creed 3, just haven't managed to get out yet. That's the only one that's kind of missing from this stack. But I did pick up Knock at the Cabin. And I liked this movie. You know, it wasn't great, but I enjoyed the concept. I enjoyed a lot of the performances here, especially Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint. Essentially, you've got this family that is in a cabin, and these 4 strangers come along and say, hey, we're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, basically. If one of you don't kill one of your family members, then the world's going to end. And so the movie's kind of exploring that. Now, it's a really intriguing setup, it's a really creepy setup, and the first third of the movie is really effective, but after that it gets a little bit redundant because it just kind of rinses and repeats the same cycle of events over and over until the end of the film, and I found the ending to be kind of lacking. Especially for an M. Night Shyamalan film, it just kind of feels like it just fizzles to a stop. But I was still entertained by it. I would watch it again, and it's a movie I think my wife would enjoy a lot, so I bought it mostly to watch it with her. So I would say to stream this one. Not one of his best, but far, far from his worst. So check out Knock at the Cabin if you haven't already. Now, let's move on to the Horror Pack. So if you guys don't know what Horror Pack is, it's a DVD and Blu-ray subscription service on horror films where you pick a certain tier, which has a certain number of releases, and they deliver it to your door every single month, and it's always a mystery package. You don't know what you're going to get. So really cool if you're trying to build out your physical media collection. Starting off, we have a movie called Proxy, which is an IFC Midnight film. I've never heard of this before. Please let me know if you have seen it, if you think that I would like it. I can't really get an idea. There's a baby there. Motherhood can be its own affliction. So, a worthy successor to Rosemary's Baby. That gives me a bit of an idea what it's about. But I've never heard of this one, so let me know. What do you guys think of Proxy? Next up, we have To Your Last Death, which looks like an animated film. Last time I got an animated film, it was an animated version of Night of the Living Dead, which seemed pretty cool. This one, again, I've never heard of. I recognize all the people at the top. You got Marina Baccarin, Ray Wise, Bill Moseley, William Shatner. Hell of a cast. But, yeah, I've never heard of this one. It kind of looks like, what are those old 90s cartoons that had the chick with the guitar? Was it like Star or something? That's what that reminds me of, that art style. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one. I have never heard of that one, too. See, now, these are the kind of ones that are cool because you open a bunch of movies that you've never heard of and maybe you got some hidden gems in here. 73 minutes. Now this is a Horror Pack limited edition Blu-ray, which means you can only get it on Horror Pack, and you get usually one of these every single month. So that's another really cool thing that I like about it, because there's some movies that are hidden gems that you just want to have as physical media, and you can't because nobody sells it. And they have some of these that you can only get through Horror Pack. So 73 minutes says, you're telling me I have 73 minutes to get there. So it sounds like one of those ticking clock movies where somebody's going to die if you don't get there in 73 minutes. Anybody seen that one? Let me know. And finally, we have Trapped. Now, I have seen this movie before. This is Kevin Bacon and Charlize Theron. Courtney Love is in here, which was, I remember, being weird at the time. This, I don't remember too much about it. I remember it being kind of like an erotic thriller where they kidnap the kid, and Kevin Bacon actually just wants to fuck Charlize Theron, and that's kind of like his ransom, I guess. It's just like, yo, jump on this dick, you get your kid back. I don't remember. Maybe I'm way off, but I remember he wanted to fuck her at some point because she gets the drop on him by pulling out the man's weakness. Nonetheless, remember it being a pretty good thriller. I don't know if I would consider it horror, but it's a pretty good thriller. So, yeah, I don't have that one, so that's a good one. Cool. Well, that does it for this month's Off the Shelves, everybody. Please be sure to check out the sponsor of today's video, Pixel Starships, down in the video description below. Get all of those incentives for downloading and starting the game. And thank you again to Pixel Starships for sponsoring today's video. Like and share, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future, including 31 on 31, just a couple more days, baby. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.